C5 or our C5 cabinet line, at least on a very basic level, if not more. I know we have some champions in the room. The C5 does have a source. We came up with 5 C's, and that's how we named our line. And these are 5 priorities when it comes to holding cabinets: control, capacity, configuration, confidence, and care. And the most important being control, because as you know, in the food safety or food service industry, food safety is our primary concern. So with control, you have food safety. Capacity, the various configurations, we can hold just about any type of food product. Configurations, for those of you who have auto quotes, you know we have thousands of configurations for the cabinets. Then confidence, you know, I think we all agree Metro is a pretty well-designed product, so you never really have to worry about it. And then care. Most of our products are very easy to care for, and it's designed that way. One example is on this 3 Series cabinet here. You see the bottom mount controls. You might take a look at that and wonder, geez, how am I going to clean that? Because I can't really take a hose and spray it out. Actually, this is a self-contained module, so you can literally slide it out like a drawer. The cord is attached. Spray the whole cabinet out, let it dry, and slide the module right back in, and you're good to go. So very easy to take care of. Our C5 line, I like to break it into 2 sort of categories. One of the categories is the spec line, which has a bazillion configurations: clear doors, Dutch doors, solid doors, pass-through cabinets, different heights, different casters, all sorts of accessories. We can match just about any spec. And our more of a stock type cabinet or an entry-level cabinet, something like this with the bottom mount controls. So we'll go into both of these briefly. But the 9 Series, we're going to start at the top. 9 Series has all the bells and whistles. It has everything. It's the most flexible. It's a high humidity cabinet, so you can get temperature and humidity. And it's perfect for things like prime rib, ribs, any sorts of proteins, because normally those things are very hard to hold for long periods of time. And with this type of cabinet, you can get a lot more longevity out of them, and they're going to taste a lot better and be safer. One of the things that makes this the 9 Series humidity cabinet, you know, we have some great competitors out there with great technologies over the years. One of the things that differentiates this from some of the others is our closed loop control system. And the best thing I can compare that to in more of an everyday application is your cruise control on your car. So if you're driving down the freeway and you set your cruise control at 65 miles an hour, regardless of hills and things like that, your car's going to try to stay right around that 65 miles an hour. The reason for that is because your car is constantly, it's like talking to itself. So as it senses a hill, it's going to give it more gas. As you're going down the hill, it's going to give it a little less, and you're going to stay right around that 65 miles an hour. As opposed to some of the other cabinets, and I don't know, Mike, you want to explain that?
Yeah, I think it's important to point out for that analogy to know what other systems do that aren't closed loop, so you don't have that feedback, is basically what's happening. They're saying, I'm going to push the gas pedal down halfway, and on a flat road, I'm going to go 65 miles an hour. But it doesn't compensate for when the door's open, and the analogy there, if you're going downhill or up a hill, you need more power on the way up the hill than you do on the way down, which is the same issue when the doors are opening and closed, and also the same issue when you're putting high moisture product in there and lower moisture products in there. It does not compensate. The closed loop system, we're sensing the actual humidity in the cabinet and adjusting the amount of energy that goes into the water to put the moisture into the air as a closed loop. So when you set it for 65% humidity, you're getting 65% humidity all the time. You're not getting the wide fluctuations that you will on some other products.
And so when you're working with a chef who's holding some of these proteins that they want the utmost control, I mean, this is really where you want to direct them. Or if they're holding various types of food throughout the day, you know, they're proofing in the morning, maybe they're holding a different lunch than a dinner, this is definitely the way to go. It's the most flexible. And this is a fully insulated stainless steel cabinet, obviously with lots of configurations. And then we bump down to the 8 Series, and you'll notice as he flipped, you lose the humidity control on the control panel. And every cabinet has humidity. We do have water cans in the bottom of them, so you can introduce water to get some humidity, but just inherently food has humidity or generates humidity, so you're always going to have humidity in the cabinet. But the major difference is in the 9 Series you can control it, where in the other cabinets it's just passive humidity. There's no humidity control. So then we move to our 6 Series, and functionally it's the same as the 8 Series, except for you can see the analog control. And you know, you probably wonder, why would we want an old-fashioned analog type control? I mean, it does serve a couple of important purposes. For one, it's a little more cost effective, but two, and even though this wasn't designed to be a transport cabinet, you can transport food in these cabinets for short periods of time. By short, I mean, if you're not opening and closing the door a lot, you can do an hour or two, and it'll maintain temperature. But if you were to unplug a digital cabinet, you lose your readout. So you can't see what the temperature is if you've got that thing, rolling down the hallway. Where on an analog control panel like this, if you unplug it, you're still going to maintain that ability to read the temperature. So you'll see if that thing gets to the point where it starts to get to the danger zone and your food's getting cooler. So that's a nice feature of the 6 Series. Over the 8 Series. So that covers what I would consider to be our specified line. Again, the gazillion configurations, the different door configurations, heights, and things like that. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about our stock type product and more of the entry-level cabinets. And when we get into that sort of lower cost arena, we have this insulation versus non-insulation factor. And can any of you tell me why someone might purchase an uninsulated cabinet over an insulated cabinet?
It's just proof it.
That's one reason, yeah. Uninsulated really was intended for proofing, but how about something else?
Budget constraint.
Absolutely. That is the #1 reason for purchasing an uninsulated cabinet over insulated. It's because the price difference, it's not just little, it's huge. I mean, the price difference between an uninsulated cabinet and one of the cabinets that we were just talking about is a couple, $2,000 to $3,000. It's huge. So people just cringe and like, I think I can just get by with the basic uninsulated, which is, it covers all the bases and we're good to go. But actually, are you aware that in the state of California that technically you can't sell an uninsulated cabinet? California is famous for all the regulations that eventually spread across the country, but that it's driving us to make our products better and more efficient and get people into the right products. And we foresee that someday, and not too far off, that there will be no uninsulated cabinets. I mean, the reason we sell them now is because there is a market for them. But eventually, they'll all be insulated. And at the end of the day, the insulated box, it's a more appropriate product. It's going to hold food longer, safer, more efficiently. All the way around, it's the right place to be. It's just the price is so restrictive for an insulated cabinet. And I kind of like to think that Metro was a little bit ahead of the game, because about 5 years ago, we took our uninsulated box and we put a polymer shroud around it. And what that created was an affordable insulated cabinet, because polymer is a lot less expensive than stainless steel. So instead of that couple $1,000 leap that you would have to take from uninsulated to insulated, now you're looking at more like a $500 to $600 leap. And that's about what the end user would pay difference. Your price would be, your difference would be a little less, and depending on your markups. But $500 or $600 is a lot more palatable and explainable than a couple $1,000. So that cost issue becomes less of a deal. Another thing you should always remember as you're telling that story is that this is Energy Star. So in a lot of states now, it can qualify for rebates. And I like to use Wisconsin as an example because it's an average rebate state. It's $300 Energy Star rebate for this cabinet. So if you're looking at a $500 or $600 price difference, you can lock $300 right off the top, and that becomes an even easier story to tell. And it's a win-win, because you're selling the end user something that they should be buying anyway, that's the more appropriate product, and you're getting a better sale.